Okay, yeah.
But let me go unmute it because it's not.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
So Michael led an event in this room in like 1995, I guess, that we had some kids come. It was very emotional. Yeah, it was very cool.
It was a youth event? Or? Wow.
Yeah, there was a conference here. Put it all together. I have to talk to Paul about what the whole event was, because I don't remember. There was a church service. There were 2 church services. It was a youth event. Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Very cool.
That is very
He was working for the Diocese of California at that time.
Okay. Well,
The Diocese of LA, actually.
well, yeah, because I was going to say, he's been at Ascension for
Since then.
several
Almost.
decades, I feel like. Like, he has really leaned into that. He's very active with ERD, too, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, he's always, We did a lot of work in the Diocese of LA. Our organization had a presence at St. Stephen's in Hollywood.
I know Jamie.
Yeah,
I know Jamie much better than I know Michael, actually.
Yeah.
So that's very cool. Well, good morning, everyone. As you are making your way through the coffee line, it is my privilege to gather us this morning at the Dean's Hour. I am not the Dean. I am Liz Cronenberg, the vicar here. Our Dean is away in Costa Rica with a detachment. Marcia Quintanilla, our youth director, and another wider detachment of ministers from this diocese, including Bishop Fisher. They are in Costa Rica visiting some of our ministry partners there. So he is not here this morning, but it is my honor to introduce to you our special guest for today. Many of you might know him. Longtime cathedral member Charles Rotramel is here with us, and we're so eager to hear from him. First, a little bit about him. He has been a steadfast voice for Houston's most vulnerable and overlooked youth. As the Chief Executive Officer of Houston reVision, Charles leads a transformative mission to interrupt the school-to-prison pipeline, working to replace cycles of incarceration with a positive peer culture rooted in belonging. A native Houstonian and cum laude graduate of Rice, where his award-winning research focused on the sociology of juvenile corrections, Charles has spent 4 decades bridging the gap between systemic reform and the lived reality of kids in the justice system. His work is a unique tapestry of community building. He is the president of the South Texas Youth Soccer Association, a 7-time state championship coach, and a cornerstone of Houston's vibrant hip-hop and break scene. Well-rounded, multi-talented. At reVision, Charles has cultivated a space where world-class athletes, including a U.S. Olympian, mentor the next generation. Charles's lifelong work is a testament to belief that no child is disposable, and that through kinship and restorative justice, every young person can find their way home. So thank you, Charles, for being here. We are eager to learn from you. Please, yes, join me in welcoming him.
Thank you, Liz. So I am the CEO of Houston reVision. We are a nonprofit based here in Houston, and I'm here to talk to you about the work that we do and invite you to join us in that work. Nat and I have spent some time together. In fact, Nat came with us to the Christmas party that we held at the Harris County Juvenile Detention Center, just over there. And just want to give you some context for the work that we do and talk to you about how we illuminate darkness, salt and light, as the sermon was this morning. This is our team. We have a staff made up of mostly former clients of the organization, so they have lived experience working in and around the justice system and from the neighborhoods that our kids come from. And they are promoted from within, so we are growing the family as they get older. So our programming, as Liz mentioned, covers a broad swath. It focuses around the juvenile justice system, but if you want to keep kids out of the juvenile justice system, you've got to find ways for them to be engaged, right? And so, as Liz mentioned, our two pillars are soccer and breaking. And those have been our pillars for more than 20 years. We didn't pick those activities. I'm not a break dancer. I'm not a soccer player. The kids picked those activities. And we've just chosen to go all in on them and really devote resource to them so that the kids can really advance to the highest level that they can get to. So if you look at all of our programming, there's three pillars, three core elements to it. Mentoring is number one. And that's what I'd really like to invite you to join us in. As Liz mentioned, loneliness is a huge problem for our young people today. And this covers a broad swath of young people, not just kids in the juvenile justice system. This includes kids in our schools, kids in our neighborhoods, kids throughout our community. Loneliness is an epidemic, never been a more serious problem. And so young people lack that adult voice in many cases. They don't have that adult support system that maybe many of us grew up with. And so mentoring is really key to that because we can help them, we can walk with them through their journey and help them move forward in their lives. We also have case managers, so our staff largely acts as case managers, which means our mentors don't have to do that stuff. They don't have to connect to resources, find financial assistance, find housing, all that stuff. We have staff to do that. So the mentors are the volunteers who just are in relationship with kids. That's their only job, is to be in relationship with the young people. The case management happens with our professional staff. And then the pro-social activities, as we talked about, the breaking, the soccer. We also do basketball. We do various other pro-social activities. But those are the three things that young people, if you don't have a strong social support network and you're an adolescent, this is what you need, right? These are the things that you need. And these are the things that reVision focuses on. So we operate a drop-in center in Southwest Houston. It's embedded in an apartment complex, which is called Ashford St. Cloud, thanks to the YMCA, which we are a strong partner of, the Greater Houston YMCA. So at our drop-in center, we offer a hot meal every day for young people. Any kid that comes, and this is through the Houston Food Bank. And I want to shout out the Houston Food Bank. Pre-COVID, they did a meal program. We participated. The meals were cold and mediocre. Post-COVID, their meals are fantastic. They've done a really good job of providing chef-created meals, and they deliver them every day for our kids. So our kids can come and get a hot meal in the drop-in center every day. In addition, we offer tutoring and homework help. We're a partner of America Reads at Rice University, and so we have America Reads tutors that come in and help our kids with their homework and that sort of thing. We have a laundry facility. Kids can come in and do their laundry if they need to do that. We can provide a shower for them as well, and that's where we do case management. We provide mental health services. We have a therapist that's on our staff And so if they have mental health needs, we can provide those right in the drop-in center. And then obviously we do the pro-social activities that we talked about and really provide that positive peer community. So that drop-in center is the touch point. It's open every day. We have staff that's there every day, and it provides that stabilizing influence where kids can come in and be a part of what we're doing in the drop-in center. So pro-social activities for our kids, adolescents who are on the edge, there's some real key components to that. So the consistency is the main piece, right? We have to be consistent. Young people who come from chaotic homes, difficult backgrounds, lacking social supports, need to understand that we're going to be there. No matter what, we're going to be there. And we're going to continue to be there every week. So when Liz mentioned that we've been doing breakdancing for 30 years, that's true. We have every Thursday since 1996. We've been doing breakdancing. And so young people understand that even if they're not that interested in breakdancing, right? We're interested in it, and there's a group of young people that are interested in it, and so we're going to continue to do that every single Thursday. And every single Thursday we did that to the point that one of our kids got good enough to be one of the 2 Olympians that participated in the Paris Olympics. And if you watch breaking on TV, you saw Jeffro. That was a kid that grew up in reVision since he was 12, right? We didn't encourage him to become an Olympian. That was his aspiration, and he did that. And actually, he was just on Star Search on Netflix last week. So the difficulty is another piece. So many times, young people who are on the edge are sort of written off as like they don't have much capacity. We hold the opposite view. You have to hold these kids to a high standard, and they have to be involved in activities that have a high degree of difficulty because young people want to achieve, and they want to do something that requires expertise. They want to become expert at something. And so the 2 activities that are our tent poles, breaking and soccer, are both very difficult, right? It requires years of practice to become good at these things. Well, we chose that intentionally because that repeated practice generates improvement, leading to a sense of mastery. If you're an adolescent and you can master something, then you can master life, right? If you don't believe that you're good at anything, if you don't believe that you have a sense of mastery, then you can lose hope. You can lose a sense of yourself. And it's that sense of mastery that's the magic in adolescence. Because if you can hold that sense of mastery, then you know you can do anything. You can go to college, you can graduate from college, you can get a trade certificate, you can have a job, you can do whatever you want to. And then the community part, right? All young people need to have that sense of community. The kids that we work with generally don't grow up having that sense of community. They've had difficulty in their lives. They may have a parent that's incarcerated. They may have a parent who's got some mental health issues or addiction issues. They feel lost. They feel alone. They feel isolated. We create a space where kids feel welcome. and they feel like they're a part of something bigger than themselves. And that is what young people need in order to move forward in their lives. Everyone should feel welcome. So our soccer program, I did not grow up. I'm too old to have played soccer. Sorry. I grew up in Houston. We didn't know anything about soccer when I was a kid. But 20 years ago, kids brought soccer literally into our space. They brought a soccer ball and said, "Can we play soccer in your parking lot?" And we're like, "Well, okay, whatever." Several years later, we've won 7 state championships at the highest level of U.S. youth soccer. 7 in a row, by the way, and counting. We've entered it again. And these are young people from Southwest Houston, from Gulfton, mostly refugee and immigrant youth, who love soccer but had never played organized soccer before. And so we have created that space for them to be able to achieve. And this is what I always talk about with young people. We have to create the circumstances where they can be champions, not where we say, "Oh, those kids are underprivileged, those kids don't have what it," No, we have to create the circumstances where they can achieve the highest level that they can achieve. And then when you create those circumstances, just know those kids will do that. They will outperform what your expectations are, because they care about that. Once they care about it and they really want to do that, they will achieve what you want them to achieve. In breaking, we do 2 breaking sessions a week. Breaking is an interesting environment. We're watching it become a sport in front of our eyes. It was an art form. It's becoming a sport. reVision is on the cutting edge of that. We want it to be a sport because that's what young people want it to be. They want to be able to compete in things like the Olympics in the future. And we're also teaching in several different schools. We're at Bel Air High School, we're at Lamar High School, and several others, actually St. Mark's Episcopal School too. So we're starting to teach breaking as a sport in various schools to try to get kids engaged. Breaking appeals to our kind of kid, right? The kid on the edge, the kid who's a little different. But it's an exciting activity, and because we have these competitions that we do every week, they can get better pretty quickly and improve. And so there's Jeffro, our Olympian. He made it to the quarterfinals. The judging system in the Olympics was a mess. We have to acknowledge that. I could talk for an hour about why that was a mess, but just know Jeffro should have been the 3rd place finisher. And he's on our staff now. So the most isolated kids in our community are in the juvenile justice system. And so that's where reVision hones in on. We are the primary partner of the Harris County Juvenile Probation Department, and we have been for 12 years. We do a lot of work throughout the juvenile justice system, and we'll talk briefly about that. But just know that the kids who need the most illumination in the darkness are the kids in the juvenile justice system. The average young person in our community has had 1 adverse childhood experience. The average young person in the juvenile justice system has had 6 or more adverse childhood experiences. So that's abuse, neglect, violence, sexual abuse, whatever it is. So it's no coincidence that those are the young people that are in the justice system, right? They've had the worst time. Their experience of their life so far has been very, very difficult. So we can blame them or we can help them, right? They are the most likely to end up being chronically homeless as an adult. More than 50% of chronically homeless adults have had experience in the juvenile justice system. More than 50% of chronically homeless adults also have had experience in the foster care system. So there's this tremendous overlap between the juvenile justice system and the foster care system. This research was illuminated by the University of Houston Graduate College of Social Work through the work of Dr. Sarah Narendorf and a study that was done in 2014 called Youth Count 2.0. You can find that on the website of the Graduate College of Social Work. That's where we found this research. Dr. Sarah Narendorf used to work for us before she was doctor. So what hasn't really gotten any publicity is that the Harris County juvenile justice system is the national leader in juvenile justice reform. And that's not me saying that. That is the Annie E. Casey Foundation saying that, who are the national leaders in juvenile justice reform. So what happened during COVID is an interesting situation. So the capacity of the Harris County Juvenile Detention Center, which is just right over there at 1200 Congress, was about 350. During COVID, what you'll see is that it was getting higher than 350. It was getting really high. And then COVID started spreading through the detention center. And so I've been friends with Henry Gonzalez, the executive director of the Harris County Juvenile Probation Department, for 35 years. We've worked very closely together for that period of time. And so I called Henry and I said, what can we do to get some kids out of the detention center? Why don't we develop a system where we can take a hot meal to kids and see them in their home every day and check on them, and we'll report back and get them out of the detention center. So we got 85 kids out of detention in one day. And we put those kids on our routes. Our staff started doing this. We had volunteers doing this. We even then developed a volunteer program for juvenile probation officers to become reVision volunteers to go check on kids, not in a probation sense, but in a, like, are you okay sense, right? Do you have enough food? Do you have something to do? We would provide technology, games, books, puzzles, just whatever they needed. So we would see those kids every day. We went out 6 days a week during COVID, and you see the numbers. So we thought, Henry and I both thought, maybe we could keep those kids out of detention for a month or two, and that they would reoffend. That's not what happened. In fact, what happened was they never reoffended. And we were able to keep the numbers in detention down throughout COVID and down now. So whereas there were 350 kids in Harris County Juvenile Detention Center during COVID, there's 140 now. Because we helped to reframe it. Why does this kid need to be locked up? Right? We know from the research that locking a kid up is the very worst thing you could do for them, because you're going to create them a pathway to adult prison, right? You're going to have them thinking of themselves as a prisoner, as an inmate. I mean, 50 years, 60 years of research shows us this. So when we reframed it during COVID for the Juvenile Probation Department here in Harris County, they've adopted that mentality. And that mentality now is, we don't want to lock a kid up unless that's the very last thing we can do, right? They've committed the most serious offense. There's nothing else that we can do. They don't have any place to go. So look at these numbers. Harris County used to be the very worst juvenile justice system in the country. I can attest to that because I was involved in it for 40 years. And now the numbers are incredibly low. And juvenile crime is down in Harris County, right? So it's working. Are there some kids that are still locked up because that's the only thing that we can do? Yes, there are. There's 140 of them. And they're right around the corner. But we're down 80%. We're down 80% in the number of kids that we've incarcerated. And juvenile crime is down. And our kids are thriving. So the juvenile justice system in Harris County has shrunk. During COVID, my friend Henry Gonzalez closed one of the juvenile facilities that was in Harris County. That used to be called the Burnett Bayland Rehabilitation Center. Henry closed that down and turned it into the Opportunity Center, which in a beautiful poetic scenario is now where reVision practices soccer. That is every week we are practicing soccer at the Opportunity Center. So that facility still exists, but they removed the 800-pound doors. Yes, the doors were 800 pounds. They removed all the 800-pound doors and put in a door like that. And that's now a school where kids can get their GED and get job training through Workforce Texas. So jurisdictions around the country are coming to study the Opportunity Center because it's a national leader in how do you transform a juvenile correctional facility into a school? And how do you create a scenario where kids can actually avoid the adult criminal justice system and instead go to work, right? Enter the workforce. The other two juvenile facilities still exist. There is the Leadership Academy, which is in Katy, which used to be, it was built as a boot camp. That was a bad idea. The boot camps didn't work, but now it's a secure facility. And then the youth village, the Harris County Youth Village is in Seabrook. That's the other one. These are the more long-term juvenile facilities that kids can go to. Harris County used to be the leader in sending kids to the state juvenile correctional facilities, which is now called TJJD, the Texas Juvenile Justice Department. Now Harris County sends almost no one to TJJD, and instead they send them to these two facilities. And the average length of stay in these two facilities is only 3 months. So they'll come out much more quickly and be able to go back to school and be able to be around their peers, which is what they need to do. So the remaining juvenile facility is the Harris County Juvenile Detention Center, which is really what we wanted to talk to you about today, and what Nat and I have been talking about for a while now. You, the members of Christ Church Cathedral, have a really unique opportunity because the Juvenile Detention Center is just around the corner. There is no chaplaincy program currently in the Juvenile Detention Center. There was one. It shuttered because the person that was in charge of it retired. and they couldn't put anything back together. So reVision has started a chaplaincy program, but we don't have enough people to man it. The kids in the detention center don't know what's going to happen to them. This is the pre-adjudication facility. It's like the Harris County Jail for juveniles, right? So before you go to court, if you've committed a very serious offense, you're in this facility. This is what it looks like. This is a picture inside the facility. It is a terrible facility. Probation acknowledges that. Probation tried to get a new facility built, and the commissioner's court wouldn't approve it. So this is what we're stuck with, right? It was built as an adult jail. Juveniles shouldn't be housed in a facility like this, but they are, at least for now. So we have the opportunity to really illuminate the darkness for these kids by just going in there and talking to them, right? The work is not complicated. They have therapists, they have caseworkers, they have probation officers, they have attorneys. They don't need that. They have all that. What they need is somebody to care about them. What they need is somebody to talk to them, right? They don't have that now. There isn't that. So this is a unique opportunity that we'd like to plant. It's a seed that we'd like to plant. You could be that. You could park in the parking garage across the street. You could walk down the block, and you could make a tremendous difference in the lives of the young people that are in that detention center. There are girls there too. There are more boys than girls. Around the country, about 88% of young people in the juvenile justice system are boys, but there are girls. It's an amazing opportunity. It's as simple, really, as a couple of people, 2 or 3, going together and spending an hour just talking to kids in a unit. To focus again on the loneliness piece, this generation of young people, I've been working with adolescents, for more than 40 years. I've never seen anything like this. This generation of young people is experiencing a level of loneliness, and this is not just true in the United States, this is around the world, that has never been recorded. They don't know that people care about them. And I think we as Christians are called to show young people that we do care, that we can illuminate the darkness. And that mentoring piece, that bringing hope to them, is what the opportunity is. And because there's no chaplaincy program in the detention center, we have the opportunity to bring the gospel to them as well. And the hope that brings. We do that in prison. So one of the things that reVision does is we go into the adult prison once a month, and we work with all of the young people who are in what's called the Youthful Offenders Program. So these are all the under 18-year-olds who are in adult prison. And they can be as young as 14. That's Texas law for you, thank you. So 14 to 17-year-olds in adult prison. There's usually about 25 of them. They're housed in a single unit, which is at the Ellis unit in Huntsville. We were just there on Friday. So we go in there once a month. We'd invite you to come with us to that too. And we really run a church youth group. That's what we do. The first time I went to the Youthful Offenders Program, I was challenged to think about, what are we going to do for kids, a 15-year-old who's in adult prison? How can we even talk to that person? And so we were like, well, let's just do what we know how to do. Let's do a church youth group. So we bring in 35 pizzas. We play an icebreaker game. We do an art project. We bring in a Christian message. We pray with them. We take their prayers out with us, and then we continue to correspond with them as long as they want to correspond with us, which is in many cases for many years. Well, we could do that here too, in the detention center. We could do that same model in the detention center. Because those young people need hope too. We know what hope looks like. We as Christians know what hope looks like. We know how to illuminate the darkness. There's no darker place than the juvenile detention center. I can tell you that. But it can also be a place of great promise, because if those kids begin to believe in themselves, then as we just showed you, they can achieve whatever. They can be an Olympian. They can be a state champion. They can do anything that any other young person can do. But we have to bring the hope to them. So we'll be talking more about this opportunity in the future. Nat wanted to introduce it to you broadly, and I think we'll get more specific in future days. But just consider the opportunity to be a meaningful, caring adult in the life of a young person that doesn't have that. Last thing I'll leave you with is, so we also run Camp Good News. reVision runs Camp Good News for Camp Allen. So Camp Good News has been going on for more than 20 years. It is a camp for the children of incarcerated parents. And so reVision has been running that for the last 4 years. So we see the children of what happens if those kids in the detention center end up in adult prison. And how disconnected their kids are from them, and how their kids don't have hope either. And so it becomes a generational cycle where kids who are in the juvenile justice system end up in the adult criminal justice system, and then their kids lose hope, and then the whole family loses hope, and it becomes this incredibly vicious cycle. We interrupt that cycle here now by introducing a caring adult in the life of every young person in the juvenile justice system now, today. That's how we interrupt that cycle. We invite you to join us in that work. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you, Charles, so much for being with us this morning, but also for your lifelong work of being able to bring to us this morning what you have, and for inviting all of us into considering how we might be a part of that work, of this particular expression of what Bradley preached about this morning, which is being salt and light, particularly in the way that he highlighted the proximity. Saltiness and light is only effective in proximity to the thing that you're offering it to, right? So thank you again, Charles. For those of you who are on your way to worship, I will invite you there shortly. For those of you who have already been to worship this morning, blessings on the rest of your day. But wherever you are headed next, May God's peace be with you. And now go in peace to love and serve the Lord.